This is the Chefpreneur podcast, where we inspire professional cooks to take on greater risk to build a personal chef business for themselves. Now, here's your host, Andres Hinojosa.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Chefpreneur podcast. I am your host, Andres Hinojosa. Thank you so much for tuning in. You know what? I know that we haven't put a podcast up in a couple weeks. I want to apologize about that, but it's because we were working on our free web class training for all you that are wanting to start their own business and wanting to be a personal chef. And we had our first web class this last Thursday and it went phenomenal. We had a great turnout, really exciting stuff. We taught some really good things. And so I want you guys to be aware that you guys can sign up for the next training, which is our free web class coming up this Thursday on March 28th. And it's titled How to Start Your Own Personal Chef Business for $500 or Less Without Having to Quit Your Day Job to pull it off. And it doesn't matter if you have years of experience, or just out of culinary school. So we're going to be hosting a free web class this coming Thursday at 11 Pacific Standard Time. March 28th, so mark your calendars. Please go over to the chefpreneurwebinar.com. That's the chef, P-R-E-N-E-U-R, webinar.com to sign up, register, get in there. Our spots are limited, so we want to make sure that we get everybody who wants to be there in there. So we like to start off every podcast with a question, and so we have a question based upon some questions that we got in the actual web class that we hosted this last Thursday. And one of them is by Elena, and she wrote, I would like to know the best way to get the most money for my services without feeling like I'm overcharging the client. This is a great question, Elena. I'm really glad that you brought it up. One of the things that you have to realize when pricing your services is the amount of value that you're giving a client, right? Most people think that, they're going to base all the cost directly on just the food and your experience and all that good stuff. And honestly, it couldn't be further from the truth. So what I want you to think about, Elena, is I want you to understand what you're providing the client, how much value you're providing for them. Now, I talk all the time in the program about the niche that you're trying to target market, because that is a very, very big factor to play your pricing, and not in the sense of your demographics, which that does play a little bit of play, as far as your pricing goes as well, just the different personal chefs in your area and the competition, yes. But realistically, it's how much value that you're giving your client. So I want to answer kind of your question in two ways. Number one, you need to add more value. And so the more value you add, your price goes up. Now, we don't have to just sit here and add a bunch of value just to add value and, say, here's a free bottle of champagne or something like that, right? Although those things can hook people in and get them to maybe, give them kind of the ability to book your event or book you as a personal chef and make them, kind of forcefully do that. It's really not the best way of going by it. You don't want to bribe anybody, right? You really want to just deliver top-notch value. And so that'd be the first thing, is you want to add more value. The second thing is you have to understand that the service is not just about what you're providing when you get to the home, right? This is a common mistake I see in a lot of chefs that are out there, a lot of personal chefs even, that already have their own business, and they're trying to price their services based upon just cost of what it should charge, but they're not basing it on the entire experience, right? Like we just talked about, the value. And so you have to understand that the price is also going to reflect the overall experience, not just the experience they get when you come to their home and when they try your food, but the overall experience of what you're trying to convey to them, right? Because value is only realistic for people in their mind, right? There's real value, yes. I mean, if you buy a car, you have the car and there's value in that, right? But there's a reason, and there's a kind of an emotional reason that you buy a car, whether it's you feel like it's your first car, whether you feel like, you just got a promotion, you want to just kind of graduate to a better car, right? There's an internal emotion that all of your clients are looking at. And so when you provide more value and you provide basically a better experience for them, you will be able to charge them more. And also, you don't want to overcharge them as well. Like what your question is saying, you don't want to overcharge them in the sense of, if most of personal chefs in your area are charging, between X and Y, you don't want to go above Y. You don't want to get crazy and put yourself into some other league, right? That's just kind of absurd, because it comes off a little bit of, with some arrogance, right? So you want to be confident, but you don't want to be too arrogant where you're overcharging. So I hope that really answers your question, Elena. And it actually ties in with today's podcast, which I want to hop right into on our subject. And that is, the more value you add equals the more money you'll make. Okay, so the more value you add, the more value you give your clients, the more money you'll make. Now, I want to kind of be bold on this statement because so many of us think that, again, it's based upon our experience. It's based upon the level of expertise we have as chefs, right? Our credentials, our resume, our pedigree, where we've come from. And although those things actually do, compile some value to your client is not really interested in that. What they're really interested is how interested you are in them, right? And I've said this on this podcast before, that if the client truly, the client doesn't care about how much you know, they want to know how much you care about them. It's really that simple. And so you need to continue to add more value to their life. Okay. So I'm going to give you some examples, and I'm going to give you a story, for instance, on how you add more value to these clients. And when you're looking at it in this context, you'll start to realize that people will pay you more money, whether it's more tip, whether you'll be able to charge more for your services, because you're giving them value up front. And you might think, well, chef, how can I give a client as a personal chef value up front? That doesn't make any sense, right? Because you're thinking, well, I'm not giving them anything until I go cook for them. And so, until I go cook for them, you're not getting value. That couldn't be further from the truth. One of the things that I've been reading this book called Excellence Wins by Hort Schultz, who's the co-founder of the Ritz-Carlton. It's a great book. If anybody wants to read it, I highly suggest that book. It's an amazing book. And it gets you in the mindset, of course, coming from, he kind of co-founded the Ritz-Carlton, like I said. And so he has a lot of experience with giving people 5-star service and being very hospitable and really going above and beyond for the guests of the Ritz-Carlton and really putting those standards in place, right? And so when you're reading this book, one of the things that really stuck out to me that he said is that when they did a survey in the Ritz-Carlton, over 90% of people were wanting for someone to just empathize with them. Now, really, if you don't know what empathizing with someone is, it's really just where you side with them, right? Where you understand where they're coming from, right? So let's say that, I don't know if anybody's ever been in crutches, but let's say that, in your lifetime, you've had to be put on crutches and you had to walk around with crutches for 3 months, right? And someone else is in crutches, right? You can tell and you understand how they feel. You can empathize with them because you've once been in their place, right? So what he found out when he did this study was 90% of people want to be empathized with, and all they're looking for is, I'm sorry, or you shouldn't have you shouldn't have had to go through that. So he gives a couple of examples in the book, such as, if the room is, something, they find a stain on the bed sheet or something like that, or, of course, they're just looking for someone to say that they apologize. They're looking to resolve the problem, and they're looking for just a little bit of going above and beyond to really just bury the hatchet and go above and beyond the expectation after you fix the problem. And so it's really simple. People want to be empathized with. People want to be, the big U word, understood, right? So the client, as a personal chef, our clients want to be understood. Right now, before I recorded this podcast, I just got off the phone with a client who's literally going to book me for April 12th. And we're talking, and realistically, she was just saying, I'm coming into town, we're renting a home, and we're looking for just to relax. I don't want to have to do anything. We're from Wyoming. We want to experience maybe some seafood, some coastal flavors. And realistically, she was just telling me, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to wash dishes. I don't want to. And so what did I do on the phone? I empathize with her. I say, what? I have a family of, right now I have a family of 6, soon to be 7. I have four daughters and my wife. And, honestly, there's a lot of cooking, a lot of cleaning, a lot of washing up. Trust me, especially with our 2-year-old, there's a lot of picking up. And the last thing we want to do is really wash dishes and do all this stuff and running around. And, I'm a personal chef, so I grocery shop all the time. I cook all the time, right? I clean all the time. And so I can completely empathize with what she's saying. She does not want to do all this work. She wants to be able to spend time with her family, relax, enjoy the time that she's going to be here in San Diego, as opposed to running around like a chicken with her head cut off at different grocery stores and getting in line and being in traffic and coming back to the house, a house that you're renting that you don't even know. And all these types of things start to stir up these internal frustrations of her. And all I'm doing is empathizing with them. All I'm doing is siding with her, right? I just want to be on her side. I want to tell her that I understand. I want to tell her that I understand where she's coming from. So the way that I start to talk to her and the entire conversation after that is, well, you shouldn't have to do any work, right? You're here on vacation. Allow us to do all the grocery shopping. Allow us to do all the prep work, all the cooking. We want to take care of you. You guys can just sit around in your pajamas. I even told her this. You guys can sit around in your pajamas for all we care. We want you guys to be relaxed. We don't want you to lift a finger. With my services, when we do 7 or more people and it's a plated 4-course dinner, we bring a waiter with us. I bring a waiter with me. So basically to give them that extra level of service. And I was telling her, we're even going to have a waiter on there, to wait on you hand and foot. She's like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm going to feel like royalty. And I'm like, yeah, you deserve to feel like royalty when you're on vacation, especially in a place like San Diego, right? Where you're overlooking the beach and the sunny weather and it's going to be beautiful. And they're coming from Wyoming, by the way. So we all know how the weather is in Wyoming probably right now. It's not that, and maybe not that cold, but it's pretty cold, and it's definitely not San Diego weather. So what she's doing is I'm just empathizing. And so by the time we get to the service part, she doesn't even care about the food anymore. Right? She knows that the chef has already understood her, right? I have understood her. Now, she was telling me, you know what, I'm going to go back with the friends and with my family members and see what, can you send us a couple sample menus and things like that? But we're looking at the tailored service, which I charge $90 per person plus the cost of groceries. And so, it's 8 people. So it's a good $720 payday. Not bad, right? For cooking dinner for 8 people. And here's the thing. As we're talking about it, I say, you know what, we do have another inquiry for the 12th and we're already booked up on the 13th of April. So, she goes, you know what, I'd love to just give you a deposit just to make sure you pencil us in. I don't want to lose you. And, I want to hire you, blah, 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 blah. Why is she making all these assumptions? Why is she already putting her money? Okay. We're talking about, the deposit I charge is 50% of the estimated cost of the event. So let's just say, a couple $100 in groceries or whatever. Let's just call it a cool $1,000. She's going to give me $500 up front as a deposit without ever knowing me. She literally talked to me on the phone for 15 minutes. Okay. And she's already giving me money. Okay. And here's the thing. It's not because I'm a sly businessman, or a sleazy salesman. It's because I'm already adding value to her, right? Because why? She's feeling understood. That's the thing that's key. When you think about yourself, when you're going out and you're feeling understood and someone understands where you're coming from, right? Sometimes you go to the hospital and, you go to the ER and you're feeling sick, right? And the nurse starts to empathize with you and say, you know what? Like, oh, it is so hard. I as a nurse, I have 3 kids and I know how it is to be sick with kids. And like, we're going to take care of you. Just by empathizing and understanding someone, you already feel like, you know what, this hospital's great. They're giving me amazing service. For all you know, the nurse can be a whack job and the doctor could be, from some medical school that nobody's ever heard of, with all due respect. But I'm saying you don't really care at that point because you feel understood. So there's value up front that you're feeling. And as personal chefs, we can give our clients value, right? Now, I sent her some menus already when I got off the phone with her, because I believe that speed wins and you want to get them, you want to get something into their hands. You want to email. If you say you're going to email a menu, I say up to 24 to 48 hours, but then I try to get it to them in 5-6 hours so that they really feel like, man, this guy's on top of it. He's on his game. He's going to trust, I'm going to be able to trust him to come to my house and show up on time. He's early, types of things like that, right? All these things continually add value to the customer, right? If they're take for instance, if you're doing weekly meals, right? And someone wants weekly meals for their husband. So let's say a lady calls you for weekly meals and Again, she's never tried your food. She doesn't know anything about you. She found you on whatever, on Thumbtack or Yelp or on Google or whatever, right? She comes across your website, which I will teach you how to build your website for it to really attract these people to contact you. And they contact you and they want to do some weekly meals. And you ask them, is there a special reason? What's the reason that you're looking for a chef to come in and do some weekly meals? And she'll say, hey, you know what? My husband is pre-diabetic and I'm really, worried about him. And unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time to cook healthier food. We're always on the go. We're picking up this and that. We're picking up In-N-Out Burger or whatever. And I just want him to eat healthier. I want us as a whole family to eat healthier, but we just don't have the time, right? So from there on out, the entire conversation should now revolve around her husband and the rest of her family eating healthier, but probably a little bit more predominantly for her husband who's pre-diabetic, right? So that's where you start to talk about and you give them value. Hey, you know what? I hate to say this, but a lot of us have family members that are diabetic or pre-diabetic, right? I mean, it's just, unfortunately, it's what's going on. And so you can start to relate to her and say, you know what? My mother or my father or, my grandfather or grandmother had diabetes or whatever. And I know what you guys are going through. We want to make sure we want to get your husband and the family healthy and get you guys, to eat great quality meals. And I could come in and I want to serve you all. I want to, why don't I do this? Why don't I start working on some menus that I think that you guys will not miss In-N-Out because you'll be enjoying some food that I'm going to cook for you, but it'll be diabetic friendly. And you start going on and on and on about that. Now, she's going to already feel like I'm telling you right now, from my own experience, she will be 85% booked with you already. And you haven't even discussed pricing. Why? Because you're understanding her. You're giving her more value, right? Now, that's in the beginning stages of when a client is looking to hire you. You can also add value on the back end, right? What I mean by that is then you can add value through emails. You can add value through ease of how, all your processes and procedures and how easy it is to book with you and pay your deposit, right? So this lady from Wyoming, she's going to end up paying a deposit, which is about $500. And I make it easier for her. I send her an email, the invoice pops up. She can pay with her credit card online and she doesn't have to worry about, rummaging through things and all types of crazy stuff. It's really, really straightforward. It's really easy. And so basically what I'm trying to say is that you can add so much value, okay, up front. But then, like I said, on the back end and through the process, now when you show up to the client's house, you can continue to add value, right? You're adding value by being professional. You're showing up on time. If there's a little bit of dishes that are in the dish, in the sink, when you show up, wash them. Make them feel like you're already serving them and you haven't even started your food. A lot of times I've done that where I see that the kitchen's a little bit of a mess and we start to clean up a little bit and they'll say, oh, I'm so sorry, chef, like I didn't have time. And I'm saying, listen, we're here to serve you. Go sit back down, go relax. We got it. Like, please don't feel embarrassed. Please don't feel ashamed. Please don't, right? I'm understanding what's going on. It happens quite a bit where clients just want, again, feel to be understood. And you're giving them the value right when you walk in the door, right? So the first minute, the first time that they talk to you on the phone, you're giving them value. You're understanding their complications. You're understanding them. And so you're giving them that upfront value. Second, you're giving them value through the whole process after that, right? Through the email communication, through any type of follow-up emails that you're doing, you're giving them things prompt. You're respecting their time. Then you get there. The first time you walk in the door, you're taking care of things, right? You're looking at, okay, maybe there's a little bit of wipe up I need to do in the kitchen before I get started. It's okay. Go sit down. I'll take care of it. I want to serve you all, right? You're adding value. You're adding value. You're adding value. By the time they see you do all this and they start eating your food, it's like they already feel like they got 60, 70% of their money's worth before they even tried the food. And this is what's key. And I want to go back to that question from Elena. This is what's key, Elena, is you have to understand that the value that you give them will directly correlate with the money that they give you. It's really simple. It's a simple equation. Add more value, you get paid more money. It's really simple, right? So when they eat the food, then they enjoy the food, then they're like, oh my gosh, chef, this food is amazing. Like, I can't believe that sea bass dish was incredible, blah, 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 blah. And they're going on and on and on. You've not only now fulfilled their expectations, because like I said, before they even tried your food, they're already 70% thinking that they've already gotten money's worth. Okay. Then by the time you get the food eaten, they feel like they're 110%. Then they see you cleaning up and you're taking the extra distance, you're sweeping, you're mopping the floor. Like we sweep and mop after every event. And sometimes the clients are like, oh, it's a rental house. Like you don't have to do that. And you know what I say? To be honest, again, I use empathy. I want them to know that I understand where they're coming from. And I don't know about you, one of my biggest pet peeves is, if I'm coming down in the middle of the night in my own house and I'm going down the stairs and I get to the kitchen and it's like not swept and not mopped, and I got those crumbs and stuff, because you're barefoot, you're coming from bed or whatever, and you're barefoot and you're just going to the fridge. Again, I unfortunately, I drink out of whatever, the juice jug, my daughter's apple juice or whatever. I'll take a swig in the middle of the night and I'm down there. I don't want to be stepping on crumbs. I don't want to be stepping on pieces of dried food or whatever was left over from the day, right? And so for me, I tell them that, so I say, my biggest pet peeve is coming downstairs in the middle of the night. And so without socks and getting stuff on my feet, and they're like, oh, I hate that. And I'm like, yeah, that's why we want to sweep and mop for you guys. We want to make sure, I don't care if it's a rental or not. I want to make sure you guys are comfortable and that we're serving you guys in the best. Those little details, I'm constantly adding value. By the end of the entire service, they feel like they underpaid. And this is where they can be generous with you. This is where that you'll see the gratuity go up. This is where you'll see the satisfaction go up. They will refer you to their friends. They'll write you the most amazing reviews on your Google business page, on your Yelp page, all that stuff. They'll start to write you all these reviews. And realistically, it's because the entire experience, you added so much value to them overall that they want to give you more money and more, right? Now, not only do they pay you, that you made good money, they gave you some gratuity or whatever, but now they're going and telling their friends about it. They're reviewing it. They're shouting it from the mountaintop, as you'd say, digitally, with reviews and giving you amazing referrals. So this is what I mean by adding more value equals making more money. Okay. And it's really not complicated. This, I can't stress it enough. This is probably one of the biggest things. And so in the Chefpreneur mentorship masterclass program that we just launched this last week, I teach you step by step how to do these, how to write the emails that cause customers to literally be your super fans. I teach you processes and procedures. I teach you the checklist that I use in my everyday business to continue to check off. I teach you so much. It's jam-packed with this because this is probably one of the most important things. And so, Elena, when you're looking at how you're going to maybe charge and not feel like you're overcharging, in fact, you'll start to see that when you do it and you carry it out this way and you're adding more value, the clients feel like they underpaid. That's what's crazy, right? So I just told you I'm charging $90 per person. Tonight I have an event and I'm charging $100 a person, right? And it's a 4-course as well. And one of them is a little more labor intensive. I gave her a custom quote and she's like super excited about it. She hasn't even asked me the price yet and I'm charging her $100 a person. She just booked me and said, I need this, We went through, I did the whole thing I just told you about. I empathized, I understood with her. They're renting a house for a month here in San Diego. She's inviting some friends over that she hasn't seen in a long time. And all I did was I kept it all about her and her friends, all about her and her friends on every point of it, right? And then we got the menu down and she just says, is there anything else you need from me? And I said, no, I'll just come up and usually I do a deposit, but this was a last minute booking. She literally booked us, for tonight on Friday. So she, for Monday night for Friday. And so basically I just said no. And she goes, okay, I'll just have a check ready for you, like whatever the amount is. It's like, well, okay, that's great. Blank check. I like that, right? This is what I'm talking about. So anyway, I hope that inspired you guys all to understand and open up your mind a little bit on when you add more value, you actually make more money. And again, it's not because you're sly and because you're a sleazy salesperson. No, it's because you're giving them value up front and you're continuing that value through the entire process, all the way to when you cook and then even after you cook with the follow-up emails, which again, I teach you and so much more in the masterclass. Hey, you know what? We're here motivating, educating, and inspiring chefs and even cooks to take a leap of faith, start their own business, and create experiences that they want to create without anybody holding them back, right? The future is yours. Put it in your own hands. We truly believe that. We are trying to create a movement here to wake this culinary monster up, get everybody on the same page, because there's a lot of clients that need your services. They need your skills, and you're being undervalued. You're being underappreciated. You're being overworked, underpaid. so forth and so on in your current job. I know a lot of you are. And so no matter where you are, no matter if you're out of culinary school or you're a seasoned pro, you've been in the industry for a long time, I'm telling you, starting a personal chef business part-time and then even going full-time in the future is so satisfactory. You get fulfilled on so many different levels. You get to charge what you feel like you know what you're worth. You get to make more money. You get to work less hours, and you get to be more fulfilled. We're going to be doing another free web class this Thursday, March 28th at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. To sign up for this free webinar, go to thechefpreneurwebinar.com. That's PRENEUR webinar.com. You can also find us on Facebook by searching for our private group, the Chefpreneur Movement Group. It's a private group, but it's completely free. If you've ever thought about even starting your own business, starting your own personal chef business, and you want to talk to like-minded chefs and cooks in this community, I highly suggest you sign up for our Facebook group, the Chefpreneur Movement. We're always updating it with other offers that we have with our free trainings and our ebook that we still have, and our free webinar and web classes. And so this web class that we're teaching on this Thursday is titled How to Start Your Own Personal Chef Business for $500 or Less Without Having to Quit Your Day Job to pull it off. So you could do this part-time, and it doesn't matter if you have years of experience or if you're just out of culinary school. So we're going to be discussing these three things in the webinar: how to get started for under $500 without a commercial kitchen or any employees or any overhead expenses. We're going to teach you how to generate a steady stream of high-paying clients through nothing but referrals. And we're going to teach you how you can start this business as a personal chef without years of experience under your belt. And it doesn't matter what point in your culinary industry career that you're in, you can do this. Hey, this is Andres Hinojosa again. I'm signing off. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Chefpreneur podcast, where we want to educate, motivate, and inspire as many chefs to become their own boss. Please subscribe to the podcast and join us every week to be part of the movement. To sign up for our free online web class, visit thechefpreneurwebinar.com.